Welcome to Empathy with Figs, your go-to podcast for all of your relationship needs. I'm a relationship expert and couples therapist here in San Francisco, where I help people stop fighting, start communicating better with each other, and snuggle each other more and more every day. So today I want to go back to like real basics and talk about what is love. So I'm an attachment-focused therapist, and so basically, I've got like an opinion right now. I think that opinion is backed up by the latest science of what love is, and in the words of Sue Johnson, we know what love is, and in short, love is an emotional bond. And today, I just want to talk to you about what we know love is now from an attachment perspective. And attachment theory being the best theory we have of what love is. And in short, love is an emotional bond. We all need to be emotionally bonded from the cradle to the grave. Now, that's me paraphrasing the most famous quote ever about attachment by John Bowlby, the English guy that came up with the theory of attachment. And that quote is there's a lot of information in that, right? We all need to be attached, emotionally bonded from the cradle to the grave. So here's the thing. If you just think about it just for a moment, your primary needs from the moment you're born is not actually food and shelter. Your primary need above all else from the very first moment you take your first breath in the world is to be bonded with another good enough human being. Now, for most of us, that good enough human being was our mothers. And of course, some of us, it's, whoever our caretaker was when we were little. But as an organism that has been, perfected over millions of years, this organism, mine and yours and every human being, is absolutely correct to freak out if it looks like that person you need to be emotionally bonded with to survive is not there for you. A baby will not live a week unless they have a primary other that's going to be looking at that baby like, you are enough for me. I love you. I want to take care of you. You can rely on me to be close to you physically. We're going to be in physical contact, and emotionally, you can rely on me to be there for you. And when I look at you, I just see someone that is just so enough. You're not at risk of losing me, and you're not at risk of me judging you as being inadequate. So from your first day to your last day, you are built, you're hardwired to need to feel emotionally bonded. Like when a baby freaks out when mom isn't there, they're absolutely right to flip out. And look, that hardware, that attachment mechanism, your limbic system, your amygdala and hypothalamus, like that tells your organism, look, you're actually in danger right now. And it activates when you're little baby, if someone's not there for you, that you really need to be there for you. It doesn't go away. It doesn't fundamentally change as you get older. So even though you might be a CEO of a company, or you're the most amazing dancer the world's ever seen, or you're the funniest couples therapist, that's not me, by the way, but you know what I mean. But it doesn't matter how grown up you are. When it comes to love, you're still a little baby. Nothing has fundamentally changed. So just think about that for a second. You're still a baby. Your partner is still a baby when it comes to love. But if you're going to take that statement and then judge yourself that you're being childish when you're hurting in love because someone's not there for you, are you going to take that statement and judge another person that they're being childish, they're being too needy, they're being too weak, that they're hurting in love? Right? You totally missed the point. We got to accept the fact that we're like babies when it comes to love, and actually love and care for that part inside of ourselves, and love and care in that part of ourselves in our partner, right? Because it's just who we are. Stop trying to fight your nature. Please stop being mean to yourself when you're hurting in love. Stop being mean to yourself when you're scared that someone's not going to be there for you. When your partner comes home from late work and you're freaking out and you think you're acting too much, and your partner, you're worried, is going to think you're acting too much. Look, it's just your biology. It's just your physiology. You need to know that you're a priority to them, and they're going to show up when they say they will. And if they don't, you get scared. That's all that's happening. Why? Because you need them. You need to know they love you and you're a priority to them. And that when they say they'll come home, they'll come home. And look, if you're the type of person in relationship that feels awful, like your partner is never happy with you, and it can feel powerless, you probably don't even have the word to describe that experience as powerless, but it's just like nothing you're going to do will be enough. That is not weakness. That is just the realities of how the pain of feeling disconnected to that one person you need to be emotionally bonded with. That's how it manifests. And that is actually a beautiful thing. It's probably the best part of who we are as human beings, that we can feel such pain when we're not connected to the one or the ones that we love. So look, you're childlike. But don't confuse it with you're childish. You're not childish to hurt and love. And in fact, here's the problem. The more you judge yourself and other people as childish in love, the worse you're going to make all of the behaviors you do when you're hurting. Shaming yourself, beating yourself up, judging other people, beating them up emotionally for the way they react when they're hurting in love, when they really don't have much of a choice in the matter. Again, and it's just biology. It's just like the facts of our physiology. You don't have a lot of choice in how you're going to react when you're experiencing what seems to your organism like an existential threat. All you're going to do is make that person feel worse about themselves, make them feel more sad, more abandoned, make yourself feel more sad, more abandoned by judging yourself. You're going to make someone else feel that. And you know what happens then when you feel worse inside? Now the danger, the threat's even bigger. And so there's probably going to be an even bigger reaction. So please surrender to who you are. You need love. You need to be connected. It's not a weakness. It's not needy. So give up on labeling yourself and labeling other people when you're hurting in love. So if this is all true, we're hardwired to need love, to be emotionally bonded with another. All humans hurt and all humans react in some way, right? So what do we do? So this first thing is the most important, just shifting your perspective to realizing that when you're acting in the ways that you can judge yourself or your partner can judge you as being really unfair, or that's totally unacceptable, but you're making a mountain out of a molehill, or like, why can't you see that you need to make me more important? Whatever all those judgments you have and the way you blame or you shut down. Crazy irony or the paradox is that the only reason you're acting that way is because deep down inside you're hurting because your partner means so much to you, or deep down inside your partner they're hurting because you mean so much to them. So just think about that for a moment. Your worst fights you have with your partner only happen because you love them so much and they love you so much too. And the fight is just this crazy miscommunication, this manifestation of all the reactive things you do and your partner does to protect themselves in moments where they're hurting so much because the disconnection is that painful. So if all that is true, I want you to think about this. The problem that you think you're fighting about is rarely the actual main problem that's going on. right? So if you, like, let's say you in your relationship, you have a recurring problem about sex or money or who does the household chores, who comes home on time when they say they will, right? All of that stuff is a total red herring. And I don't know if you're familiar with that expression, a red herring, but it's not actually what the fight's about. If you're actually fighting about an issue, like you and your partner are actually pissed at each other, you're actually upset, right? Then the chances are it's really an emotional bonding issue. It's an issue of attachment. It's not what it appears that it's actually about sex or money or dishes, right? And so what do I mean by that? Like, here's a little story I make up to try and explain this concept in my office with clients. Is imagine, right, you were coming to my office, you parked your car, and you come up to see me, you sit in my office for an hour, you leave, hand in hand, feeling better with each other, but then there's a parking ticket on your car, right? You see it right there on the dashboard under your windshield wiper. And one of you looks at the ticket and goes, "Oh no, sweetie, we have a ticket." And the other, the sweetie, goes like, "Oh, boo, this is terrible." And you hold each other's hand and your heads touch against each other and your nose rub against each other. We hate parking tickets. Yeah, we do. Let's pay it right away. Okay. Look, you have a problem. You have a parking ticket. It sucks for both of you, but you don't have an emotional bonding issue. You guys are still on the same team. See, the issue there is actually the parking ticket. So that's not the kind of problem I mean. The world is going to throw you thousands and thousands of problems, some big, some small, like a parking ticket, right? But let's run the scenario again. You come to my office, we do an hour, you feel more connected to each other afterwards. You come downstairs, you leave the building, and there's your car with a big whopping San Francisco price tag parking ticket on it, right? It's like freaking $90 for being over someone's driveway, right? One of you looks at the ticket and just closes their eyes and goes, "I can't believe it. You told me I wasn't over that person's driveway." And of course, your partner that just hears this and goes, "Are you kidding me? You're going to blame me for this? Like, why in the name of God did it take you so long to leave the house? And we had to be so stressed about getting to the bloody therapy session. This is this thing you always do." "Oh, whatever. You know what? I'm tired of your..." Okay. See, if you keep thinking you're fighting about a parking ticket, all that's going to happen is you're going to make the fight worse, because everything you do and say in a fight like that is just going to hurt your partner even more, and their response back to you will hurt you even more. It's not a fight about a parking ticket. It's become about your emotional bond. And the way I often think about it, there's really only two questions people who love each other are asking over and over and over again. Are you there for me? Is one side of potential wounding in love. And on the other side, am I enough for you? Are you there for me? Am I enough for you? And you could think of it this way. Your organism is sending out sentinels all the time, checking in with your partner, even if you're not saying it explicitly. Are you there for me? And variations of "are you there for me" is, am I a priority to you? Do you care about me? Am I important to you? Do you love me? Do you like being with me? Am I special to you? Okay. If I'm in trouble, if I'm hurting, can I reach out to you and you'll respond? You're available, you're responsive, you're engaged with me, right? And then on the other side, the flip side, or the other side of the coin of wounding in love, is variations of the question, am I enough for you? Am I acceptable to you? Are you happy with me? Please tell me I'm not in trouble. Is this enough right now? Am I here enough so that you're not disappointed? I just want to be enough for you. Am I enough now? Please tell me everything's okay now. So in 80% of couples, approximately, one person has more access to the pain or is more sensitive around questions of, are you there for me? And if the answer seems like no, they're going to experience some vulnerability. They're going to hurt inside and they'll react. And typically someone that has more access to the being sensitive around, are you there for me questions, that the answer comes back as no, they tend to try and reach out even more to see if their partner is there. And like I said, 8 times out of 10, their partner will be someone that has more access to the pain or has more sensitivity around questions. Am I enough for you? The answer to that question seeming like it's a no. So if you're the kind of person that has more access to the pain of feeling, oh my God, it looks like there's a no to the, or is my partner there for me? Then you're probably going to end up hurting and responding to your partner in ways that makes them feel like, uh-oh, it looks like the answer to, am I enough for my partner right now? The answer to that question is no. And you guys are going to get stuck in an emotional bonding moment of disconnection. And it's going to be awful for both of you. And everything you do and say to try and make it worse is going to make things better. It's going to make things worse. How awful for both of you. So, first thing we have to be able to do, given the fact that emotional bonding between the two of you is so important, is see that the problem is not the problem. This is not a fight about a parking ticket. Because of the way we both have responded to getting a parking ticket, now you're feeling you can't rely on me to be there. I really needed you to be looking at whether we were parked correctly or not. And so it's touched my sensitivity around feeling like I don't know if I can rely on you being there for me. And I did that thing I do when I'm hurting where I reacted and blamed you. Sorry. Right. And then, of course, the other person, partner number 2 in the scenario around the parking ticket, look, yeah, when you blamed me, when you pointed out like you were disappointed in me for like not making sure we weren't over the person's driveway, it felt to me like the answer to the am I enough for you question was no again. And that really hurts me. And I reacted all defensively because it just hurts too much to feel like you're disappointed in me. So that's the real problem. It's got very little to do with the parking ticket. That's just the spark that got you into the latest episode, the latest cycle of disconnection that happens between the two of you because you're so important to each other. It's so important to know, are you there for me and am I enough for you? So, here's the thing. If you really, really want to do the most important thing you can do to make sure you have a brilliant relationship, start trying to see all of the fights that happen between the two of you from an attachment perspective. Can you see your own ways of responding when you're hurting as driven from this need to be important to your partner or this need to be enough for them? And if you do, again, guess what that means? You only fight because you love each other. Nothing else is going on. Nothing else is going on. And the beauty about this, from this perspective, it means you both make sense when you're in a fight. Neither one of you has to be the one that is wrong or bad, or neither one of you has to take like, I was the one that started it, it's all my fault. Look, if you're going to always, every time you get in a fight, need to get to a place where one of you has to take the blame and one of you has to be the one that apologizes first, it's going to be a hell of a lot of suffering. And the good news about looking at your relationship from an attachment perspective like this is there's this other way out than one of you, either yourself or your partner, needs to be wrong. It's just both of you get stuck in a system of disconnection because you both get hurt because you mean so much to each other. Now, there's a reason I keep repeating that, because that's it. It is very, very, very simple, but not so easy to rewire your brain to really take that in and start seeing all of the moments of this connection between the two of you from this emotional bonding lens. But the sooner you can realize, look, it doesn't matter who was the first one that got hurt, who was the first one that felt like they couldn't rely on the other person to be there, or who was the first person that felt like they weren't enough for their love. It doesn't matter. What matters is we got stuck in our negative cycle. We got stuck in what I call the waltz of pain together. This is our problem. It's not a you or a me problem. That changes everything. That means you're no longer so threatening to each other. Now we have two people that love each other, and they both just got hurt for a moment, and they both reacted in ways that was very hard for their partner. And they've calmed down again. We're just two people that love each other that got hurt momentarily. Nothing else going on. So, love makes sense. We know what love is. You just need to be emotionally bonded. It's just part of your biology. It's part of the very essence of who you are. Embrace it. Please stop telling yourself you're being too needy, you're too much, or you're being too weak or powerless to hurt and love. Please surrender to who you are, accept it, and start sharing with each other how much you hurt, how difficult it is when you get stuck in fights with each other. So I will see you next time, where I hope I'm going to do another interview in the Who Are You in Love series. And I'm going to have a really special guest. So remember, you're hardwired to need love. It's not a weakness. It's okay to feel sad and hurt and be reactive momentarily. And how do we make sure it's only momentarily you're reactive? We get to be on the same team and see that we only fought because we mean so much to each other. And the problem that we thought we were fighting about, parking tickets or sex or money or where will we live and whatever the latest piece of content is you think you're fighting about, it's not the real problem. The only reason we really fight is because our connection means so much to each other that we both feel threatened, we both hurt when we get stuck. So go love each other. Go love each other up. Thanks for listening. The Empathy with Figs podcast and Who Are You in Love interview series are not to be confused with individual or couples psychotherapy. In this podcast, I provide coaching and content for informational and entertainment purposes only. Listening or watching this podcast cannot replace the specialized training and professional judgment of a mental health care provider. If you are experiencing a medical or psychiatric emergency, please call 911 or reach out to your medical doctor.